for a casual gamer, the only purpose of playing a game is to experience it, have a good time for a little while, and then put it down.
Like 1 million gamers on PlayStation, not on PC, not on Xbox, just on PlayStation. 1 million gamers buy COD and they don't play shit else.
If you're the type of person that's saying games don't hit the same and you're playing the same stuff and you're not like branching out, I feel like to a degree that is kind of like your fault.
Yeah, I think the quad stack ruining games. You carjacking, free throw shooting, football catching, clip reloading, son of a guns. Stop playing those games. It's a lot of other games out here, man. Stop putting the clip in the gun and pressing R1, man.
Nice.
Nice.
Hey, what's poppin', everybody? It's the No Level Cap podcast. We back once again with the crew. I love y'all niggas. Talk about all the anime, all the gaming, none of the bullshit. I want y'all to let me introduce y'all to my incredible co-hosts. We've got the Black Daredevil and the secret weapon of No Level Cap, Terrence Flowers. What's good, Terrence?
It's been a long week. Work has just been kind of crazy on my end, but other than that, everything is all good. You know, nice to see us go woke and get some nice views for going woke, you know. Yeah, so stay woke.
I don't know if those are all positive reviews, but I don't care. We still got them. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Next up, we got One Punch Man and the Master of Combos, Devin Butts. What's going on, Devin?
I'm good, man. Just like Terrence, pretty much work throughout the week. You know, sometimes it's a hassle, sometimes it's not, but still glad to have a job. So still playing Street Fighter. Actually, we did our the summer anime, one of our previous episodes, and I actually watched the first episode of Zom 100.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty interesting so far. It's just funny that this guy's like, I hate this job so much. If a zombie apocalypse happens, hey man, I'm good. I'm like, all right, bro. You know, I like horror movies, but I want to keep my zombies on television. But that was pretty cool. Been watching Record Ragnarok. They added some more to that, so it's been pretty cool. I think as far as like the new anime, that's all I've seen so far. And also the first episode of the Jujutsu Kaisen. So yeah, anime, Street Fighter, work, man.
That's that's not a bad combo. I mean, you got to go to work. So I mean, you know. Next up, we got the Collector of Collectors and the Master of Twitch, Will Coleman. What's going on, Will?
Nothing much, my guy, man. I just been relaxing. I've been on Twitch with Final Fantasy 16. Them boss fights, man. I'm gonna be real with you. Them motherfuckers expensive. I'm just gonna be real with you.
You ain't never lied.
Them boss fights expensive. They was in the studio going in, bro. When they got through in the studio, wasn't no more studio. Them fights is crazy.
What was your favorite boss? What was your favorite boss fight from FF16 so far?
So far as of where I'm at, I really love Titan. Titan is just that fight is immaculate. Like, if y'all ain't played it yet, please go play it. Go waste some time. Go pick it up. It's called Final Fantasy 16.
Little indie game. Y'all might not have heard of it.
Yeah, y'all might not have heard of this one yet, but I need y'all to go and pick that up.
I hear you watch it as much as you play it.
Hell yeah. This is amazing, though.
Uncultured new RPG player, I see.
Oh, no. That's going to fit into the topic. We'll bring it up in just a second. We also got the living cartoon and the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's going on, Rakeem?
Hey, man, nothing much. A couple things I'm trying to get back into. Recently signed up for a voice acting online class. I'll be trying to do for the next few weeks. I'm also getting back into my project management classes. I kind of fallen off of I was trying to get my project management CAPM certificate, but I got a new job, so I kind of took a backseat on that. So I'm kind of ramping up the next few weeks trying to get back into certification process. I already got a Google certificate to kind of get me into the ropes of project management. And in my job now, we actually have a project management department, which a lot of companies do not have. So that's actually kind of a cool way for me to kind of segue maybe in a year or so to, you know, kind of go into that industry a little bit more. So I'll be working on doing some side projects, you know, in my spare time. Even though I got a grad degree, I'm still in school every day. It's always something to learn.
You ain't
Listen to
wrong.
this positive nonsense, boy. I tell you. This man talking about actual growth. We talking about wasting time all damn day, and he talking about actual personal
Hey,
growth.
man, Raheem
What
the
the fuck is that?
professional.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
What you trying to do? You trying to better yourself?
Yes.
What kind of shit is that?
I hear you trying to learn.
Yeah, I hear you trying to learn. I catch you learning in here.
Let that
Lastly, I am
book
Sage
alone,
Ashford. Oh my god. Lastly, I am Sage Ashford, the man that won't shut up. Ain't shit been popping over here, just anime. I tried some of the summer anime that we talked about. Man, I hated the vast majority of them. I whittled that list down really quickly. It's down to like Jobless Reincarnation, Bleach, of course. Reign of the Seven Spellblades is actually really good.
I want to check that out.
Oh, have you not seen it?
No.
Oh,
I've
the
not
first
checked
two
it out yet.
episodes are great. Like we can check it out later on.
Which one do you hate the most that you watched?
I hate. Let me take it back. Hate is a strong word. Disappointed.
Okay.
I tried that Sunshine in the Mirror, like the Love Live spinoff, and it just never got off the ground the way I wanted it to. I was like hoping for a little fantastical, cute adventure with like like kind of cute girls doing cute things in a fantasy world. I was hoping for that, and it just took so long to get off the ground. I was like, all right, why am I watching this when I could be watching something else? And then the other one that disappointed me heavily was like Hero Classroom. The one about the guy, he wanted to be like a hero. Well, he was a hero. He had like saved the world or whatever. And then it turned out like he lost his powers. And so it was just like a thinly veiled attempt or like excuse to get like an overpowered character around like a bunch of like regular people. And then he does like overpowered shit. And they're like, oh my God, he's so amazing. And like the bit ran dry like a lot quicker than I would have. Because I just wanted to see like, it was kind of cute at first seeing him run around being like, oh, I want to make friends. I want to make friends. But like, it did not take long before I was like, hey, man, cut this shit off. Like, it was so many of the tropes that I just don't like. Like, all anime is tropey except like the top, even some of the top tier anime are tropey, but it's in how well you execute those tropes. But this one was just like, look, we ain't trying, bro. Like, I don't know what you thought you was watching when you came here, but like, this ain't that. This is just bottom of the barrel. If you like this type of genre, you'll love it. But if you don't, or if you're like tired of it, it's not for you, and you should have known this. And I like felt like dumb for having wasted my time. But other than that, I mean, it's always some OG anime I can go check out, and I plan on going back to those soon. If you didn't know, No Level Cap goes live every Monday morning. We're on YouTube for video fans, but if you prefer our audio version, we're live on Spotify as well. I do want to thank everybody who helped us get over 350 views on last week's podcast. Going woke, I guess it did kind of help. We did get a few knuckleheads in the comments, but not too many of them. Most of the people in the comments were very respectful, very cool. I appreciate that. I do like the importance here is building a community of people that like aren't shitty, right? Like all my friends are cool, and I want the people that fuck with us to be cool too. So I appreciate that. Next up, I just want to say like we back to being a little spicy, because I want to ask something. Are casual gamers ruining video games? Now y'all know at No Level Cap Incorporated, we don't really engage in gatekeeping unless you like a. Yeah, you heard me. The shirts coming out. The shirts and the hat. Yeah, No Level Cap Inc. The shirts and the hats coming soon. We don't really engage in gatekeeping unless you're a weirdo, and then you got to get out the hobby. But like, so the real question in this case is not are casual gamers ruining video games, although that's gonna be the title, because I mean, like, come on, man, that's gonna catch my eyes. The real question is, are casual video games casual gamers rather are not ruining video games for us, but are they ruining gaming for themselves? So like, let's get into it. The first thing I want to ask y'all is, to you, what defines a casual gamer? Is it the games they play? Is it the amount of time they put into gaming? Is it something else? Like what defines a casual gamer for you? And I'm going to just go first, get it out the way. To me, a casual gamer cannot be how much time you put into a game. Because we all know them quad stack gamers, them folks be dumping 4 to 5 hours a night into the same 2, 3, 4 video games. You look at their hours on COD or 2K, and it's going to say something way higher than any individual time you put into any one game. Like, it. I'm also going to say it can't be the games that they play either, because we all know there are plenty of people who play Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts or Skyrim or The Witcher, and they barely even think about games most of the time. Like they got the 2 or 3 games they played, and they like, oh yeah, I really love those games, and then that's it. They don't really care. To me, what defines a casual gamer is, are they actively or passively interested in the hobby? Are you passively relying on people to bring you information, or do you seek out new information? Do you seek out new games? Like sometimes me and Keem will be downstairs talking and he'll just put on a video about new video games coming out. Like sometimes it's indie games, sometimes it's just games for the month, but he'll just put on a video about new games coming out. We'll just sit there, watch and talk about games. I personally check Wikipedia and Steam, see what kind of games are coming when. So like for a casual gamer, do they care about stuff like E3 or the Summer Game Fest? You don't got to be the type to like take off work. I think that's a step too far. I have seen people they'd be like, oh yeah, Summer Game Fest, I'm taking off work. Man, you using up vacation days on this bullshit, on disappointment? Like you almost guaranteed to be disappointed, and you took off work for that. You add to the problem. I think that's a step too far. But if you can't even be bothered to look trailers up, I mean, like that's kind of casual to me. Like, actually, if your algorithm doesn't occasionally point you to some new video games on YouTube, that kind of says a lot. And like, how often are you playing games? Do you pick something up because your friend won't shut up about it, and you finally go, I guess that might be cool? Or do you have a favorite franchise and you just you really fuck with that franchise? Like, there's some people who don't care about most video games, but they might love Mortal Kombat, or they might love Final Fantasy. They play every entry, the side entries, all that shit. They read the comic books, side comic books. Like, they can tell you all about the universe and the lore. They tell you shit you ain't know about it, and you like, man, I thought you ain't really play games. Like, nah, but I play this. Like, those kind of people. That's like a core. That's still, to me, not a casual gamer. That's like a core gamer. Like, that's somebody, they care about they franchises. So like, those are the people that I review as like core gamers, and then like the casual gamers is just like, hey man, if it's out, it's out. Yeah. Terrence, what do you think? What defines a casual gamer for you?
So I'll say for me, I'll say that the whole definition of casual gamer, it feels like the goalpost moves almost like every 5 or so years. It just, because if you go back to like the, I guess like 80s, 90s when gaming was, starting to boom, or in terms of like more like modern gaming, you'd have people who said like, oh, if you play like, I don't know, like Barbie's Horse Adventure or something like that, you're just a casual, which, to be honest, back then it did kind of have like a bit of a somewhat misogynistic twist to it, and like there were some other isms to it that kind of define a casual gamer. A lot of times if you were a woman and you gamed, you were just automatically, the casual label was just thrown at you. So
they even today, like when you hear like stats come out and it's like, oh well, 48% of gamers are women, and they're the first thing they say is, oh, I bet they play The Sims, and it's like, nah, they play the same games you play. Shut up.
No.
Yeah, exactly. There was a time where mobile gaming, if you just did play mobile games, you were considered casual. Well, let's fast forward to now where you have like one of the biggest games in the world, Genshin Impact. Like, that's a mobile game. I mean, of course it's on console and it's on PC, but a lot of people still play that on mobile. And there's a lot of other games that people play on mobile that they invest a lot of time into.
Money too.
Yeah, and money too. Yeah, people
definitely
be wailing on those games. Yeah,
Unfortunately,
for sure. But so I guess what I'm ultimately saying is that, like, yeah, the whole concept of a casual gamer, it feels like it just changes a lot. In terms of the way it is now, I would kind of agree with you, Sage, is that I think it depends on how invested you are in the hobby of just gaming as a whole. Like, do you keep up with gaming media? Do you keep up with the journalism, the events that are going on? Like, how deep are you into the games that you play? Like, do you know all about the lore? Do you know about other games outside of your own little bubble? Like, it's kind of like if you were just like if you were a sports fan, like a basketball fan. Like, you have casual basketball fans, you have those that are like deep into it. Like, they know the stats, they know the players in and out. They know
the contracts.
Yeah, they know the contracts. Whenever the draft comes around, they're like lined up with popcorn and they have like draft parties and everything with their friends watching it. Yeah, it's just like
if you do draft parties, you're not a casual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just like anything where you have people who are more like surface level with it, where they enjoy it. Like for me, for example, I can casually enjoy wrestling, but am I a hardcore fan of it? No, I didn't grow up on wrestling or watch it to the same level that honestly, like a lot of you have, or even other friends I have that like they're deep into wrestling. They watch AEW every Wednesday. So yeah, I just think it's just a matter of how deep you are into the medium and how much joy do you get out of going deeper into it, or do you just like staying at a surface level, and that's fine, which there's nothing wrong with that. Even if you are a casual gamer or just a casual anything, that's completely fine. You can enjoy anything casually. It's all just a matter of what level you're at. That's it. So I pretty much agree with you, Sage, is that just depends on how deep you are into it.
I was about to just make a joke and be like, nah, they're ruining gaming. That's the whole point of the title. They've ruined the video game industry with their filthy casual hands.
I'm sure we'll get into that more later.
We definitely will. I just wanted to get like a level set and figure out where everybody is coming from with respect to like what do you think makes a casual? Speaking of, Rakeem, what do you think? Well, what defines a casual gamer to you?
For me, when I think about a casual gamer, I kind of think about relatives or cousins or, occasional family members who play games. It's more of a recreational activity, just have fun with. Like for a casual gamer, the only purpose of playing a game is to experience it, have a good time for a little while, and then put it down. They're not thinking about getting super invested in the story. They don't care that much about context or like, right. They don't care that much about context or like what's going on in the industry that much. Sometimes, depending on the person, but for my experience with people who are casual gamers, like for instance, if I have like one of my cousins, he might bring up something. Oh man, they have a new MK. When's the last time we played MK? It was like 10 years ago. Then that's automatically, like they haven't been keeping up regularly with the gaming industry because obviously there's been 4 MKs in 10 years. So, that's it's been around consistently for a while. But yeah, for me, a casual gamer is someone who is just who doesn't care about the nitty gritty. They just want to get straight to the meat of the gaming, and they just enjoy it for a little while and put it down. Just like like any other random hobby. There's certain things that I only watch or pay attention to here and there. Like I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan, but like let's say something else comes on TV, like I don't know, a new Western comes on like that. I'm not a hardcore Western fan. Unlike my parents who are hardcore Western fans, they watch all Westerns. I might watch one Western once every 5 years, but my mother and dad watch a Western once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. It's a very different mindset towards it. You say something, Sage?
I'll watch a Western if it's a whole bunch of black people in it, but otherwise, like, I don't know. Like, I just can't go back to the Gunsmoke and Rifleman. I mean, like, it was cold seeing them fire off them shots, but no, I'm not going back like that.
I love the Rifleman. I can watch that right now. That was my show right there. I love me some Rifleman. And Bat Masterson. Shout out to Bat Masterson. Hey, he was cold with that cane, that topic. I got a shot. He was too cool, man. He was smooth.
It's on my screen right now for YouTube. They've been recommending me this for 2 days.
This is quite the tangent, but like, do y'all remember like when Rakeem came in and he like first signed in and he just like was singing the song to fucking Rawhide? I'm like, is this 1965? Like, what the hell is going on?
Rawhide. Rawhide. That song get me be bucking a little bit, man. Be bucking, if you bucking up in here, man. With that Rawhide, come on now. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. I'm nice. I'm nice with that Rawhide.
The Bonanza intro was really and unfortunately now that catchy ass theme is gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the podcast.
Around the podcast probably before I go to sleep.
God. Oh my God. So Devin, what about you, man? What defines a casual gamer for you?
I'll be honest. I feel like there's a little bit of all these elements, like time, some of the games you play, and other aspects. I do agree with you all that people that don't even, that could be, there's gamers that don't even know what like E3 might have been or like never paid attention to it. They don't even know like what game expos are. They probably never even picked up many gaming magazines. Like I can remember back, me and Rakeem were talking about this, like, just I remember this vividly. Electronic Gaming Monthly, PlayStation Magazine.
Yes, sir.
Game Informer was like the one that kind of
Game Pro
came out, and
that was at the end, really.
Yeah, but it was like early on. It was still like
Game
PC
Fan
Magazine. Tips and tricks. Go ahead, Rakeem.
Did any of y'all ever like? I know I used to go to the mall, so our mall had a bookstore in it, and all the
Mhm.
gaming magazines were in the back. I used to literally just sit in the comic bookstore and just read the gaming magazines like all the way through.
Yeah, sometimes I would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until they start. Well, some gaming magazines like the PC Gamer and like demos, they had them in
Put
the
them in
plastic.
plastic. Yeah.
Yeah, they put them in plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, technically, you would kind of, I guess, be stealing if you open it.
I'd be stealing
I
if I
think
took
it-
them home.
So I think elements like that do play a big role in like whether you're casual or not. I do think time. I know Sage had mentioned like people that come and they like maybe play COD like a few hours a night, and that's probably all they play. And I guess looking at a game like I would say, so my mom, she likes Tetris and she likes Sega Swirl. I don't even know if anybody really remembers what Sega Swirl was.
I do.
Okay. Basically columns like say the Dreamcast version of columns.
Mhm.
So she played it, and my mom is like definitely casual. Like that's all she really plays. She used to play Mario, so I would definitely say she casual. She just like those just quick like games that are very family friendly. Just,
Bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
Get in a little bit and be going.
And I would say personally, this is just my take. I would say something more along the lines of like when I look at Animal Crossing, that's a game that it just to me it just screams like a casual game. Like you just there's no like nothing that's no stakes really like super high stakes. Like it doesn't take like any
Tom Nook might take your
execution.
shit.
I mean yeah,
He might.
but it's like I guess what I'm like there's like you don't so okay sometimes you play games that's like especially competitive stuff and you like man there's stakes on the line you're trying to make sure like your hand-eye coordination is on point. There's no like stress of like I need to be on point with something like as far as like hand-eye coordination or like the mechanics of it. I'm just playing the game. I'm farming. I'm getting my my little trees planted. I'm putting some stuff in my house. Just like man, I'm just sitting back, just relax. Got your feet up. You know what I'm saying? Got your feet up. Now, some games you play, even I can say like opposed to like Bloodborne, your feet ain't up playing Bloodborne. You play with somebody Bloodborne, you like, all right, man, let me get in here, man. Let me get in the screen. You got to lean in the screen like this, So I would say, and again, that could be somebody could prove me wrong. Maybe somebody put 20 million hours in the Animal Crossing. At that point, I'd be like, hey, man, that's a casual game, but you ain't no casual gamer. You put that many hours into the game, I wouldn't say you casual. But if you play like 2-3 hours a day, maybe like a few days out the week, somebody like me, I play games like pretty much every day, every single day. Like y'all know me, I play fighting games. I'm in there, we in there. And I played some games like COD. I don't want to say how many hours, but I've put some hours in the COD. I put some hours in the COD. Let's just say that much. Like my brother's a big gamer. Not as much as he used to be because he's married and he has a kid now, but I wouldn't really consider him a casual gamer because he's like also like trophies and achievements. He's like played like Fallout like multiple times. He just platinum Fallout 4. He's platinum like Fallout 3, Vegas, I think Skyrim. He played them multiple times. I'm like, even though you don't play games a lot anymore, casual people just ain't gonna sit because some of these I know Bethesda games, those achievements take a lot of grinding. Like you gotta be like, hey man, it's gonna take a while. And he was sending me messages like a few weeks ago, like, yeah, man, I'm almost platinum Fallout 4. And I'm like, dang, like how I felt like he's done it so quickly, but I guess he's played them so much. So I think it's a mixture of like time that you play on the game, like daily or weekly. Like if you play a game like 5-6 hours a day every week, I would probably say you're not necessarily casual. And if you playing something like Animal Crossing, I don't want no stress. I just want to play the game, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Mario, I guess depend like you can still say that kind of be stressful. You get to a stage it's hard to beat, like the level is kind of hard. That could kind of
look. I'm scared of heights, so platforming definitely stresses me the fuck out. So.
Yeah, but I do agree. Like the whole thing, like not super being invested in like knowing the events, and even like competitive stuff, like not knowing like the competitive scene of gaming. Because like there are some people like I never knew there were tournaments for games like COD. It can be whatever game it is. Like I never knew people actually competed for this for money. So they just I just been playing this. I never knew. But I will say to me I feel like a casual, and I've met people like this. People that say I've always met these people. Hey man, I'm so good in this. I'm the best in this game. Can't nobody beat me in this game. You're casual. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break it to you. And I know you probably hurt right now, but I'm sorry. If you want,
no, they mad right now because they don't believe you.
Maybe both.
They don't understand that like the reason why you call them a casual is because you don't play enough people to understand like there's no way that you're the best and that nobody can beat you. There's no such person.
Yeah. That's it. Like I'm sorry to y'all, but if you think like that, unless you done rid the gauntlet, been in tournaments, been online, you're casual. I'm sorry.
Unless your name is Sonic Fox, or like some of them Justin Walt, like some of them top tier Daigo. And they don't talk like that. You rarely ever see them talk like that. So like unless you one of them top tier type players, like you shouldn't be saying like nobody can beat me at these games. Like
Justin Wong will look you in the face, tell you he trash, and then beat you.
Even some of them though, a lot of them I've heard like stories when they first started out. A lot of these top players they thought that, and they was like, "Oh,
good." You know what happened? You got punched. You got to get like that's how you find out. Like that's why top tier players don't think like that because like they think they're the best, and then they get punched in the mouth, and they're like, "Oh." It's a whole world of people that also think they're the best.
But that's what because I know Noel B. Hungry. He's like he was a top Smash player. He played Marvel now. He's like he thought I was the best in Smash, and play somebody else like oh my bad.
Okay.
I think that wake up call is necessary for everybody because it happened to me too. And like when you're that guy in your area or in your family where nobody can beat you, they kind of put you up on a pedestal and it gets your head big. I know in my family, I'm the guy who wins all the fighting games and they can't beat me no matter what they do. And as soon as I went to college and met y'all, I learned real quick I didn't know a goddamn thing about fighting games.
Beating Devin, and my next door neighbor.
Man, Devin taught me so much about fighting games. He'll never know how much he influenced me to actually learn Street Fighter, actually learn Mortal Kombat, actually learn mechanics, actually learn what footsies are and shimmying and like anti-airing and like the fundamentals of fighting game. Drive impact, putting your feet up in there, man. That's an inside joke. But yeah, like you think you know everything until like you wake up one day and it's like you meet somebody who's just better at you at that game. And it's like, there's another level. Now, I think that the casual part of that is they don't care about getting to that other level. They just want to press the buttons and fight and punch people in the face. The hardcore is when you kind of step in and like, okay, now how do I get more involved into the game and like learn these mechanics? That's kind of your branch into getting the hardcore. Go ahead, Sage.
Well, that's kind of not like the thing where you like when you find out there's another level and then you just like, nah, that's too much. That's acknowledging that you're a casual. The guy that Devin was talking about is somebody that just like they hadn't realized it yet. They hadn't hit that brick wall where it's just like, hey, bro, like I don't care what you was doing with your family. All y'all was just mashing buttons, and then like now you about to see what like actual movement it means, and like the importance of like you said, footsies and all the other stuff, and like the neutral game and all. Like when you run into that, that's when you like, oh, okay, and then like you got two choices. You can accept that you are a casual and be like, well, I guess I'm a casual and I'm going to keep it casual. Or you can do what you did, Rakeem, and you can be like, well, time to get on here and study and hit that lab and figure out how to play this actual game.
Man, I remember my brother had that moment. Like he had that moment with me. And I was like, hey, man, I see you're having a hard time playing me. I can teach you how to play a fighting game from fundamental. He just said, nope, I don't want to learn. I just want to play it where I'm at. I don't want to get no better. I'm good where I'm at right here. He told me that to my face. I'll never forget that. He said, bro, I don't care about that. I'm not learning no more combos. I don't care about what you're talking about. I'm going to play this game and mash buttons. I'm going to beat you one round. I'm going to be happy. And that's good enough for me.
Hey. Your brother is different. He built different. Because let me tell you something. Different. When I saw what y'all was doing on fighting games, I was like, I was almost like him because I was like, I ain't finna learn nothing else. But then I took it to another level. I'm like, look, I don't like getting smacked around. I don't like picking up the controller and basically just getting for 30 minutes. I don't like that. So I just stopped playing fighting games. I was like, this lifestyle not for me. Like there's other lifestyles that are, there's other forms of video games that are, but like I'm just not finna get smacked around all day and then maybe get lucky and like get you down to like a pixel of health and then get ultra out of the nowhere. Like no. Just I'm gonna let y'all have it. Y'all got it. Okay, hold on. What's up, Terrence?
Well, real quick, I was just gonna say in regards to the whole Animal Crossing thing is that you really be surprised how many like hours upon hours people have like logged into those kind of games. Like those sim games, people will be logging like hundreds of hours. Like Animal Crossing, I know those that fuck with Animal Crossing, they really fuck with Animal Crossing. So I was just gonna say that it's just that usually people who are like deep in Animal Crossing, they play a lot of it.
I
Hey,
appreciate
you
you
got to
for bringing
build that
up.
island somehow.
You do.
Facts. I'm glad you didn't let me speed bump over that because I wanted to circle back around to that. Like Animal Crossing can be seen as a casual game, but like any game can be hardcore if you play it enough. And like,
Super Smash Brothers.
oh,
Same way.
Oh, you trying to start a fight?
Yeah.
Wrong people see this podcast, and you gonna start a fight. They gonna be like, "What you mean? It was never casual. It was always hardcore and all of that." So now, bear in
Negro,
mind,
please, it was fundamentally
the existence
designed
of-
to be casual.
the existence
by
of
the
Brawl
creator.
it fights against what they talking about, but that's neither here nor there. Like they gonna tell you, like, look, what you mean? Like this was always a hardcore game and melee and wave dashing and yada yada. Like, okay, but I did like Devin kind of hit on something that I kind of did. I wanted to skirt around because like I do feel like I guess this is kind of fucked up for me to say, but I mean we on the podcast and Devin brought us here, so I gotta say it now. I guess where I'm at is that like with Call of Duty, I'm like they swear up and down they real gamers, but they don't play nothing else. And so I'm like, I don't care how many hours you put in that shit, you still a casual to me. But I don't want to do that to like Animal Crossing because like that has certain implications. Like you have certain groups that play Animal Crossing, and like the first thing out of somebody, you're a casual and yada yada. And I'm like, she not no casual just because she like Animal Crossing or she don't want to be stressed the fuck out while playing video games. Everybody can't just sit there and deal with a game on nightmare mode and shit like that. Not everybody wants that, Will, I saved you for last for a reason because you actually worked at GameStop for a little while.
Yes.
And so you've met a lot of casual gamers.
Yes.
So now I want to know what defines a casual gamer to you?
Okay, so as you just stated, I have worked at GameStop, no doubt about it. I've run into my fair share, and I figure most casual gamers to me are the people that don't really. I'll base it based on if I'm still working there. I would base it on how often I see said person come into the store. Like there are also people that come to the store 3-4 times out of the week, and sometimes on those 3 or 4 times out of the week, they will buy. I know what you think.
How many games you need?
Some people come in and buy just to have them sometimes, or sometimes they're looking for something in particular, and we might have it on hand. And they come get it. Some of them only come once out of the month, maybe twice out of the month. And I feel like those people who come in like very sparingly throughout a month are the casual ones. Like they come in, they like, I heard this was coming out. I want to pre-order it, or I want to see if y'all had this on the shelf. I'll pick it up. I'll get it right now, or I want to have it sent home to me. Y'all give me an order and have it shipped out. Or maybe I'll be real with you. I had one guy. This is going to relate to a later question. I'm going to probably bring this back up again. But the guy came in. He was looking for something in particular. It was one of the yearly titles. And we had it. I started talking to him. And he asked me about different games. And then all of a sudden we got to talking. And then he was like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm more of a 2-game-a-year type of guy. And honestly, I had to respect it. When he put that out there, I was like, you know what? I respect it. At least you came at me honestly and told me that. So I respect
anybody that knows themselves, I respect the fuck out of.
Yeah, like when he said that, I'm like, you know what? I can't even be mad at you because you told me what you was. You let me know from the door. I only play this here. I come get these. He's like, I work a lot, so I play these when I had a time. This is what I can hop into. I ain't got time for nothing major to play. So I'm like, that's great. But then there are those who come in and they have like the humongous stack of games and they be trading them in. And I'm just looking, I'm like, you had all this?
About to get $34 back.
Exactly. They're about to get about 34. If they lucky, they came in on the trade promo day and instead of 34, they getting about 68. So, so I'm just looking at them like, damn, you got a lot of shit. And they be like, yeah, some of these I just stopped playing. Some of them had like a lot of Call of Duties in the middle of them too. Some of them had like a lot of this, a lot of that. So it's really about how they kind of had their ear to the ground. Like I said, I had a guy come in almost every week of the month, and he would just be there for like an hour at a time. Like we just be there, customers come in and out, and we just do our thing. We chat with them, plain and simple. Like I don't know, it's really hard to kind of define a casual gamer, but I will say this here, and I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm not casual simply for the fact that, well,
I mean, you're a collector, so
I keep kind of stacking them for some reason.
Man, I keep that game on me.
Yes,
I keep it on.
I keep it on me.
I keep them all here. I got a lot. So yeah,
Dragon's Crown.
Yeah, I know. I love
Good
it.
game.
Yeah, but it's really the thing about buying them. Really, I feel like if you come buying physicals a lot, you're not necessarily casual. But if you kind of just skip over some, you just like, I want this, I want that. Like, yeah, like your stack ain't huge, but you got something that you want to play. You play it here and there, and you done. That's it. That's really, y'all kind of covered all the bases I could really think of. But my experience at GameStop showed me that there's a lot more casual gamers out there than you think, and there's very few hardcore ones out there. And yes, I am a collector, but you know.
I was gonna say, well, I mean, like, part of this is like a lot of the hardcore, like core gamers, probably moved to like PC or like digital. You know, like the time it is like the time of just going into a store and the midnight launches and stuff like that. That's almost a thing of the past at this point.
It is a thing of the past.
So I guess the next question, and this is kind of a two-part question, has the quad stack ruined gaming? And so, like, if you don't know, we talked about this before. The quad stack is like those 4 games, and I'm actually going to extend it out to 6 because there are 2 other games that kind of belong in that.
Ooh,
just
the
6
shooter.
Okay, then bet.
Yeah, they got the revolver. So like, you got your base 4: Madden, NBA 2K, Grand Theft Auto, and Call of Duty. And like, you can expand that out a little bit for FIFA and Fortnite. FIFA really more of like an international type thing.
It is.
But like, it's still got some, because I mean, like, I had to look this up. I did some research the other night, and FIFA actually has, like, you know, a larger number of copies sold than Madden, because it's, you know, worldwide compared to like Madden, which is, you know, and then Fortnite, of course, is just this fucking monster of a video game that everybody's played once, and a lot of people play a lot. Like, it's basically the battle royale of choice, particularly since Warzone has been like handicapping itself, like with all these like really poor decisions that they've made over the last year. So, you know, everybody just kind of either went back to Fortnite or just were like, hey man, I might as well try out Fortnite. And like, so it just wound up being like the game. And like, Apex is still pretty high up there, but like, I just don't think it's in quite the same tier as Fortnite. So like, you got those are like the big 6, as it were, where you're like, okay, I see a ton of people playing these and they may not play anything else. And so what I want to ask is, do you think the quad stack has ruined gaming? Like, just in general, like, do you think, oh man, you know, we just put out so many of these now, like, from the developer standpoint, you know, people, they've been trying to chase the success of games like Madden and 2K, and that kind of got us the live service, because like, when you think about it, like, they had the Ultimate Team and all that shit and all the VC and dumping all that money. Like, that's where a lot of those ideas came from. And then like Call of Duty, the PS3 generation or PS360 generation, that shit was full of Call of Duty clones. And even today, like, arguably the reason Sony had so many multiplayer games at their little PlayStation Showcase, the reason why they had so many of them was because they want to get lucky and find the next COD. And so like, I want to, like, do y'all think the quad stack ruined gaming? And then I guess the other question I would ask at the same time is, like, do you think gamers that I don't know, I've seen this a lot, I don't know if y'all have seen this, there are a lot of gamers that stick primarily to the quad stack and Fortnite, and they constantly complain about like video games don't hit the same. And I'm like, are they right? Because developers want to make more live service clones, or do they just need to play more games? Rakeem, what do you think?
So the quad stack ruining gaming to me is, especially this year, just not true, because there's such a variety of games to actually play if you actually pay attention to the gaming industry. Just this year alone, I've basically gotten my dream year of video games: Mortal Kombat, Final Fantasy, Armored Core, Remnant 2. I'm getting sequels of stuff I didn't expect to get sequels to. Games that are 10 years old are coming back. I'm getting all these indie RPG games I'm getting to play to give me the old school feel. I'm literally getting covered on every basis of everything I like. So for me, it's literally probably one of the best years of gaming of my entire life. So I can't say it's ruining gaming. However, you kind of alluded to this at the very beginning of the podcast. I feel like the onset of live service injecting itself into every type of game, and, you know, battle passes and like penny pinching here and there with like DLC and things like that. What we're seeing now is gamer fatigue in companies trying to milk them for everything. They figured out they were the cash cows. and they're sick of it. They're figuring it out. And now, also, when you play one or two series for a very long period of time, shout out to my best friend Rob, who's watched the podcast. He sports podcast too. He loves Destiny, but he can tell you every flaw of Destiny down from because he played it from day one to now, and he knows all the flaws, all the issues, all the problems. And there's been time where he said he doesn't want to go back and play Destiny. He's frustrated with some decision making. And that's just one example of how, like, gamers, once they're kind of enthralled into one series or two series for so many years, they kind of get sick of it. And they're really just playing it because they've created the habit of playing it for so long. Another friend of the podcast, Tim Bush, he's a hardcore NBA 2K fan. Hey, Tim, give you a shout out, man. You always support us very well.
Shout out the whole Point crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out them.
Shout out everybody that went to college with us, if y'all watch. But he always brings up NBA 2K. He always wants people to play 2K, but he can tell you right now, he gets sick of 2K too. He gets sick of the nonsense. And this, and that's just a small example. Going back to what you were talking about, Sage, a few minutes ago, where I have seen many players online talk about how gaming's not hitting the same, or it's stale right now. It's because their specific series is getting dry. There's either a problem, like I just said earlier, with like they're really trying to gouge you on the financial part of it, or creatively it's kind of getting stifled. I know I was a Destiny 2 player. Lightfall came out, and the community's reaction to Lightfall was kind of, it wasn't what they wanted. Coming on this almost 10 years into this game, getting to the end of this 10-year run, and like Lightfall's story just fell all the way flat. It left a bad taste in gamers' mouths. And when you consistently stay with a series for a long period of time, and then when new content comes out, you're not satisfied, that's kind of why that feeling's coming there. It's like disappointment. I remember just a couple years ago, a year or two ago, when the Blizzard stuff started coming to a head. I remember like every YouTube channel that was like hardcore Blizzard, all they play with Blizzard games, Blizzard could do no wrong, and how it changed, man. Blizzard's trash. What happened to Blizzard? WoW ain't hitting the same. Heroes ain't hitting the same. Heroes gets canceled. Overwatch is trash. What happened to Overwatch? One of the most successful games of the last decade. Now it's trash. Gamers are fed up. That's the simple of it. They're fed up. They're tired. They're realizing the manipulation. They've been manipulated by these companies to get their money over and over again. They feel like the game is becoming creatively stifled. They're not changing enough. We all know Madden and 2K, these WWE games, all this stuff. They don't change much. It's the same game every year. There's only so long you can play the same game over and over again, do the same thing over and over.
Same shit over and over again.
Over and over again. Do the same shit over and over again. Do the same shit over and over. Eventually,
same shit.
Same
you know
shit.
What it is.
Exactly. Eventually, you'll get tired of it. That's with anything. That's with a bad relationship, a restaurant you go to every single day. Some terrible sex. It don't matter if it's monotonous and boring and not creatively interesting. You can get tired of it. I think that's something we're seeing from casual gamers, and part of that might be some of their fault because they didn't branch out enough to try different varieties of games. And it is hurting the gaming industry as a whole as a result, because casual gamers make up such a large part of the gaming industry, more than us,
100.
way more than us.
Definitely.
So if they're unsatisfied, that's not good for the gaming industry as a whole. So in that regard, it is hurting gaming, but I don't think it's ruined gaming completely.
Okay, that's an interesting standpoint that you had. Because it's like, you are right. There are way more casual gamers than there are, because like, the thing about casual gamers is that they play casual games, and casual games kind of appeal to everybody. And I saw this statistic the other day that was just like kind of odd. I saw two separate statistics that were eye-popping. One day I saw a statistic that was like, hey, Final Fantasy, the franchise, has sold 180 million copies. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then literally like within the same week, I think 2 days later, it was like, guess how many people bought GTA 5? Not 4, not 3, not none of them. 5. 180 million people. That means that in the 40 years that Final Fantasy has been around, it's everybody, all the copies that they've sold over those 40 years equals up to about 7 years of GTA's lifespan. And that's the disparity between like core gamers and casual gamers like that. It's like they're everywhere and they want to play like certain games, and so there is this thing of like, oh, games that fell off because I mean, like, hell, they ain't had a new GTA in literally a decade, so of course they gonna feel like it fell off a little. Terrence, what do you think? Do you think the quad stack has ruined gaming, and do you think it's their fault? Like, are they right? Are the gamers that say gaming has fell off, are they right because devs keep making all these clones, or do they just need to play more video games?
So to the first question, I'll say that much like Rakeem, I don't think the quad stack has ruined gaming per se, just because gaming is bigger than it's ever been. I mean, this is a multi-million, billion-dollar industry, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. Now, does it feel like there's some aspects of it that are being ruined, like the chase after the next AAA game, like investing all this money into one game only for it to fail and it like completely ruin an entire like development team or studio? Like all it takes is nowadays, all it takes is one failure for a AAA studio to maybe just disappear from existence. Like
that the studio that made Forspoken, they're gone.
Yeah, like they got absorbed, didn't they?
Up.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. All it takes is one failure now. Like you can't fail when it comes to AAA gaming now. Is that it's too expensive to fail. I mean, they I know in the recent what is it, the FTC suit thing with Microsoft, all that stuff was coming out from Sony's end, and they leaked. Well, there was a leak. I think the person who tried to censor the court documents didn't censor it good enough.
Did a bad job.
Yeah, and you got to see how much games like Last of Us and Horizon cost, and it was like $220 million. It's like, that's insane. That's bigger
For
than
one
a lot
game.
of like Hollywood budgets for
It
big
is.
movies. That's like a Marvel movie. So that's crazy. But just in terms of it ruining gaming, I don't think so. Just because there's always going to be trends and there's always going to be people trying to seek those trends. When it comes to COD, I mean, COD has just been persistent ever since the PS3 360 generation. I mean, I know COD existed before, but in terms of it being the phenomenon that it is now, it really started with the 360 generation. And, a lot of the other first-person shooters, they've been trying to chase after that similar success. In regards to the sports games, I mean, for one, the reason why those games see so much success is that they have no competition, because EA owns Madden, so it's like they can't nobody else can make another football game. I mean, they own the NFL license is what I mean, so nobody else can make a football game. And it's the same with a lot of the other sports games, is that because there's no other competition, people have no choice but to buy that specific game.
Didn't EA have an NBA game?
They did.
Yeah, didn't
NBA
they?
Live.
Yeah, NBA Live.
Live,
Yeah, NBA Live.
There we
Yeah.
go.
And then
Yeah.
2K said, give me that license, and y'all out of business.
Oh, did they
So
just
there you
lose
go.
the license? I thought the game was just bad for a long time, and then people just stopped playing it.
I can't
It
remember.
did. I think it was a bit of both. Like
Yeah.
NBA Live just kind
The
of
last game was
just
a
kind of
failure.
Yeah.
it went downhill, and then 2K got a hold of it and said, yeah, this is our court now.
Yeah. I think even FIFA, I think it's not going to be called FIFA after like another year, right?
No.
No.
Mhm.
This year.
This year.
EA
Oh.
Sports Football Club.
Okay.
That's the
yeah.
next,
Oh,
that's the
wow.
new game.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that
Titles don't
plays
hit
a
the
big.
same.
What'd you say?
Gaming titles just don't hit the same. Just wanna get
That's the next title of the pod, the next podcast. No, but yeah, I don't think it's ruined, but I just think that these are just trends that they will change at some point. It's kind of like with anime, where you have the isekai trend it just seems like it's not going to die, but at some
Bro.
point it will, and there will be something else that'll come in and it will change the landscape. Just kind of like with battle royale games, where when those started coming in at first, it seemed like, oh well, this might be something, and look at where it is now. I mean, there's not too many companies that are doing it now, just because there's been so many. But the ones
All
that are
failed. So many
big,
failed.
yeah, the ones
Yeah.
that have executed at the highest level, they're doing exceptionally well with it. So I don't think that the quad stack has necessarily ruined gaming, but I do think that some of those trends, it would be nice if we can move on from them at some point, which I feel like we will. But in terms of the other question, like, are they right? Are some gamers right about games not hitting the same? I'm going to be honest. If you're the type of person that's saying games don't hit the same and you're playing the same stuff and you're not like branching out, I feel like to a degree that is kind of like your fault. It's like if you're saying, oh man, anime is just a bunch of, young boy characters fighting and there's no real depth to the plot, and you only watch shonen anime.
Man,
at that point, you got to branch out. There's other genres within that medium that you can explore. So if you're complaining about like, oh, you know, this game, it just feels like the same old, at that point, try something else. It's kind of like people who go to the movies and they say like, man, the movies is just a bunch of superheroes and popcorn blockbusters. Like none of this, like it's all just garbage. It's like if you're saying that as someone who goes to the theater a lot, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of good stuff out there that's not superhero.
I haven't seen not one A24 film. They just be like, oh, I'm just going whatever they show on the TV. That's what I'll go see.
Hey, something like Joyride that just came out last week. I mean, that was friggin' hilarious. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. And if you're saying like, oh, you know, there's no like real fun movies or anything like that anymore, and you're not checking out stuff like that, then you're doing yourself a disservice. I'll put it that way. So that at that point, I don't. People who say that doesn't hit anymore, I do think that they could stand to branch out, but maybe you just need to take a step back from gaming too. Like if you feel burned out or you just feel like it's not for you anymore, you know, that's okay. It's okay to kind of fall out of love with something that you were really into or like some of your hobbies. Like sometimes you can take a step back.
That is true.
Like move on to something else and maybe revisit it some other time, and you might come back liking it even more. I'll say for me personally, as someone who was like really huge into fighting games in college, now even though I buy those fighting games, do I play them to the same level that I did back in college? Not so much. I have Street Fighter 6, but I definitely haven't logged nowhere near as many hours into it as like Devin, Raheem, or Will. I've played it online here and there, but not enough to the point where I consider myself like good at the game or I feel like I've like fully invested myself in the game. And that's just because I've kind of pulled back a little bit from fighting games just because I don't take as much time to try and get as good as them as I used to. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, you know, if something ain't hitting the same, you can either try something else or just take a step back, do something completely different, and then maybe revisit it, and you'll see that maybe something has changed that you might like. So that's my take on it.
Man, you were speaking facts with that last little part because, like, I definitely know what it's like to fall out of love with something. Yeah, man, it's rough. It's rough being a comic book fan right now. That's all I'll say. I do an episode on it, but not enough of them read comic books like super serious. So I can't get an episode out of it. It'd just be me by myself. Will, what about you, man? Do you feel like Quad Stack has ruined gaming, or do you feel like, you know, the people that say, oh man, you know, gaming don't hit the same, are they right, or do they just need to play something else?
Okay, so for the first question, I'm gonna just go ahead and make it quick. I truly don't think that the Quad Stack has ruined gaming in any way, shape, or form. I don't see it that way, simply for the fact that I believe that if you like what you like to play, you're gonna play it. I'm not gonna take that away from you. I'm not gonna put nothing in front of you that you don't like and tell you need to play something else. Like, here, take this instead of playing that all the time, because at that point, you're kind of pushing them away from the whole point of gaming anyways, which is to get them to enjoy something. And if they're not enjoying something already, giving them something new and being like, you need to stop playing that to play this, they're really not going to take into it. It's like trying to tell a child to do something. They won't push on it, you know, eat your vegetables, but you push them to play that, I'm like, eat it, and they don't want it. So you making them not like the thing. So that's how I kind of compare it. But if I had to answer your second question, and you say that's basically saying people that play the Quad Stack say that gaming don't hit no more, I'm going to be honest with you. Terrence hit the nail on the head. Like, he pretty much said it. If you gotten to this point where gaming doesn't satisfy you, make you have fun, doesn't even so much as put like a smirk on your face, I'm going to be real with you. At that point, that's your fault, because you have so much out there to reach for. There is so much to reach. There's too much on the shelves on your digital storefronts. There's too much for you to sit here and look at 100 games to the right of you, but you rather go back home and still mess with the 4 you got sitting on your desk, or mess with the 4 or 5 you got sitting on your crossbar on the PlayStation or on your Xbox or Steam
that you don't even like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the really important. Like, the important part, like, if you want to go back home and play them 4 or 5 games over and over again and you love them, more power to you. Yes. I hope you continue to enjoy them. But if you're going to sit there and tell me they all suck, it's like, you were right on it. Like, hey man, you can't just be like, well, I'd rather go home and play these games I don't like. Like,
don't do that to yourself, because I'm speaking from pure experience. I was burned out on a lot of multiplayer games because I was consistently playing them, but knowing me and I like single player games and RPGs, I'm like, I gotta stop playing these. So the thing I did was delete those games from my system for like a week. Overwatch stayed off for 2 weeks because it just that game stresses me out. It does. I can't wrap my head playing around with 4 other people who have half a brain. I can't do it. Or probably don't have half a brain between the rest of them. I don't get it. But if you start taking time off of games, just like Terrence said, like just lay back some. Because I promise you, them 2 weeks I didn't have Overwatch on my system, I was probably at my happiest. I'm not even gonna bullshit you. Gaming wise, I was at my happiest minus Overwatch. So take some time away from stuff and try playing other games. Like, reach out for something. Don't sit there and be like, I gotta play this because this is where my friends are at, or this is what I only like. Because at that point, it's not even gaming no more. It's a chore.
it's obligation. You right, man. That was fire. What's up, King?
I just wanted to add a little bit to it. Like, I totally understand what you're coming from, Will, and it spoke to me because I have those periods when I play games where I burn out. It happens all the time. I'll play MMO for a month, burn out. I'll play RPG for like a month or two, depending on how long it is, burn out, and I alternate. And like, it's almost like having a taste for food. Like, you have a taste for something, like you have a taste for a fighting game, you have a taste for a multiplayer game, and that type of experience. And then once you're satisfied, you move on to another experience. That kind of helps you out. So when you only play 2 games, you don't have that, I don't know, expanse to kind of, try something, another taste, another meal. You're just eating Taco Bell every day. Try not the McDonald's or some catfish, some soul food. Use some soul food every once in a while.
God damn.
Exactly.
Yeah, cook at home, man. That's an indie game, a home cooked meal.
Right. He ain't wrong.
His analogy
He's
is
right.
fire. It's got to be hungry, though.
So yeah, I totally understand you coming from, Will, and like sometimes you just need that. You need to just do something completely different, even if it's outside your wheelhouse. Try something else.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I agree, but what's up, Will?
I was gonna say my biggest tip to those of y'all who are really tired of y'all like main multiplayer games that y'all play, coming from me, delete that shit off your system. Make sure it is not in your eyesight. As long as it is not within your eyesight, you will not play it. Give yourself a day or two. If you don't see it, do something else. Like, for real. Don't even go and look in your gaming library. Like, if you got another disc or 2 sitting on your desk that's something different from your usual, install that, play it. I guarantee you. Look at your mood between when you finish playing a session of whatever it is in the quad stack compared to what it is you just played. If you feel happier playing the new stuff, stay over there.
I'll say this, man. I think Terrence has more faith in gaming than I do. Like people moving on from the quad stack or the 6-shot or whatever. Because like I think people one day will move on from Fortnite. I mean, it's only so many characters you could put in there. You got Goku fighting Deku, fighting RoboCop, fighting Thanos, fighting John Wick, fighting The Rock, fighting Michael B. Jordan, fighting like
me.
But it's all like eventually it click in your head like it's the same. It's the same character. He got he might get but they all using the same weapon. They all got the same stuff. Like occasionally they spice it up by letting you use the Kamehameha wave or like the Detroit Smash or whatever. Like, but for the most part, it's all the same character using the same guns. And you can only do so much with that before people get tired of it. There's no world in which they move on from Madden and NBA and FIFA. It's not happening in the same way that sports been around, like professional sports been around for over like something like a century almost. And like, it ain't going nowhere. They just empires. And like, that's probably how we need to look at Madden and 2K and FIFA. 2K maybe a little more up in the air because it did have NBA Live. So the only thing that could make that change is if what Terrence said before, like if the licenses went to other places and then maybe you started getting variations on like the popular sport, like maybe you get was NFL Blitz again or something like that. But that's the only way. Otherwise, like, or NBA Street, that type. Otherwise, like, you can forget it. And COD, speaking of like, because he brought up the FTC stuff, and I'm like, man, it's goddamn. There was some data that came out about PlayStation gamers and COD, and I was like, they said like 1 million gamers on PlayStation Not on PC, not on Xbox, just on PlayStation. 1 million gamers buy COD and they don't play shit else. They put in COD and all they know is COD. Every year they go back and they like, hey man, I need a little bit more of that military fish. Give it to me. They don't know nothing else. And then they said 6 million people play 70% of their time playing COD. I'm like, this goddamn fish can't be that good. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on, man, put the game down, play something else. And then once you start thinking about they spending 30% or like so, I think it was like 14 million for 30%. I'm like, that's a lot too. And then like once you start thinking about the other, you know, quad stack type games and like how much time they probably putting into those, they legitimately may not play literally anything else. And that's disturbing to think about. And so like I'm like, I don't know, because like Activision kind of tried low key. They was like, all right, look, we gonna put out this COD and we gonna go into the future. And we gonna be in space, and and everybody was like, we don't like this. Cut that space shit out right now.
They turn that shit off.
The next thing they did, I remember, because I was like doing some reporting on it.
That was Advanced Warfare, right?
Yep.
I know it was just Advanced. It was also Infinite.
Okay.
Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3.
Pay to win.
When I tell you I hated Advanced Warfare, boy. Ooh, I hated that game. Boy.
They had Blops 3, they had Advanced Warfare, and they had Infinite Warfare, all three of them. And man, like when I tell you they got to Infinite Warfare, because I remember walking in, me and one of our other roommates, Ty, walked into like Devin's place years ago when Infinite Warfare first came out, and they was watching E3, and we walked in and we looked at seeing Infinite Warfare on the screen, but we didn't know, like we walked in late, and we was looking at the screen, was like, what the hell is this game? And we stared at it for like before like the Call of Duty shit came. It was like, this Call of Duty? What the hell is this?
I remember that having that same reaction too. I was like, hey, yo.
I was like, okay, y'all doing something different with it. And the COD fans said, fuck that different. We don't want that shit. And like, sure enough, within like 2 years, I remember I was doing some reporting on it for a job. And like I was watching like the Call of Duty presentation where it was presenting a new COD, and we're back to boots on the ground. And they was so excited and they said boots on the ground like 6 times in like an hour. And I'm like, bro, I got it. Like, you back to that ground warfare shit. Like that's just what they want. They don't want nothing else. They want just that shit. And I mean, like, even saying that though, like, I don't think the quad stack has ruined gaming. I think these days you've got too many people who are pre-programmed to only think about a handful of titles, just like Terrence said, the same way some people go to the movies and they only think about Marvel movies. I will say this for developers specifically, you know, we spent years struggling with live service games, but they slowly starting to peel away now. Like Electronic Arts, EA makes 2 quad stack titles. They make Madden, and worldwide they make FIFA. You know, that's bigger than Madden, like I said. But they've also looked around and realized the days of just trying to churn out some multiplayer stuff that's half made, and you know, you're trying to like leak out the half of it later on, like Battlefront, where you know, you get half the game now, and then you know, if you pay extra $100, we give you the rest of the game over the course of 2 years. Like, hell no, they stopped that. And that shit over. Like, when you look past Electronic Arts Sports Division, what do you see? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, Star Wars Squadrons, Immortals of Avon. In the future, they got the Iron Man game and the Black Panther game. They're all single-player, story-focused games because they know that is where the core audience is. And
licensed.
Yeah, well, they are all licensed games. And then even that's a change, because at one point, one of their VPs was like, why would we make licenses? Make our own games, make all the money. But like somewhere along the way, they tried it with Fallen Order, and they was like, oh, wait a minute. Y'all like these? Yeah, we definitely make some of these. They also made Dead Space. I forgot to mention that. So and Dragon Age 4, which is, I guess, coming out. You know, that's what they tell me. Me and Rakeem been waiting on Dragon Age 4 for like a decade now. They tell me they still working on it. You know,
literally, it's been a decade. That's crazy. It's been a decade. I can't believe it.
By the time that game comes out, it'll be a full decade. But like, I don't know. Like, as far as like gamers complaining about games don't hit the same, like, they at a point, but this is the problem with casual gamers now. Like, they'll sit there and turn on the same 5 or 6 games and then tell you video games don't hit the same. Like, anybody who tell you that in 2023 is embarrassing. We had Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Space, Like a Dragon Ishin, Octopath 2, Wolong, Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, Metro Prime. Like, we had so many games, and we're only halfway through the year. Like, Game of the Year conversation is going to be wild because everybody's going to feel like, man, y'all left a lot of really cool games out of this. Like, it just should have been more games on this list, but it's only going to be 6, and people going to be upset. And I mean, that's not to say that developers aren't making a bunch of clones of stuff, but that kind of goes with it. There's no such thing as a perfect era. In the 90s, you had all these licensed IP games, and 90% of them were garbage.
Yeah.
Yep.
PS3 and during the PS360 era, you had all them first-person shooters, Space Marine clones with all them gross
Gunmetal
yellow
gray
filters.
and dog shit brown. Let's go.
I promise that's what you had. That's all you had. And see, the problem is when you only remember things through rose-tinted glasses, all you're gonna see is flowers. Like that's the only thing you ever gonna see. And this industry, it does have a lot of problems, but like Will said, variety is not one of them. Like Sony is releasing a bunch of live service nonsense. So what? Microsoft releasing a bunch of RPGs. Nintendo never stopped putting out high quality versions of all their biggest IPs. You get anything you want anytime you want. Like you get all the farming games you want now. Me and Rakeem, we talk about this all the time. You get all the tactical RPG games you want now. Like whatever the fuck you want, it's out there in like spades. You just gotta go out there and try it. So stop telling me video games don't hit the same no more. Like that's your fault. Like you gotta shoulder some of the blame. You gotta, what's that phrase everybody love now? Accountability. You gonna need to take some. That's all I can say. Devin, what about you, man? How do you feel? Do you feel like Quad Stack has ruined gaming, and do you feel like are they like is the people saying the games don't hit the same? Do they just need to play more games, or is it like just devs that is the fault of the developers?
Yeah, I think the Quad Stack ruining games. You carjacking, free throw shooting, football catching, clip reloading, son of a guns. Stop playing them games. It's a lot of other games out here, man. Stop putting the clip in the gun and pressing R1, man. No, I'm just playing. I don't think necessarily I don't think that the Quad Stack is ruined gaming. Honestly, is if you really want to look at it, it's kind of help because as much money as they make, like them folks like we ain't gonna stop making these games because we know people ain't gonna stop buying them. I think you could probably maybe say. So I do feel a little differently about gaming than I used to, and I'm definitely not gonna say that it's like bad, but there are some things that I am not a big fan of. I think probably people's taste is kind of changed, and I'm not gonna say keep ruin gaming, but I think people's taste is like garnered the way gaming goes. Because if people weren't buying those games, they wouldn't keep making them games. Madden has been trash. Madden has not been good since PS2.
Damn.
2K.
Damn.
I don't know what to tell you. Whoever, if you like Madden, that's cool. But Madden hadn't really been good since PS2. I don't know what to tell you. When Madden first came out on PS3, it looked like hot dog water. They ran like they had something in a diaper on or something. It was horrible. And for whatever reason, Xbox was like the system made for the game, so it actually looked better. I was like, well, what? So I guess the PS3 version just trash, huh? Okay.
It was that.
So yeah, Madden hadn't been good since PS2. 2K, it's just too much of a slingshot type thing. It's like you get too far ahead of beating your opponent. It's like, nah, we can't let you win this much. So I stopped. I literally stopped playing with one of my friends, Tim Bush, as we mentioned before. And I'm sure he remembers this. The day I stopped playing 2K, he's like, "You're not gonna stop playing." I said, "Yes, I am, Tim. Watch me." And I have not played 2K since then. That was like 5 years ago, maybe more than that. 2K, like I like basketball games. Of course, I prefer like extreme sports games. I like NBA Street, NFL Street, SSX. Those are my games. Like, EA, please, SSX. What are y'all doing, please?
Got to see how Sony is first.
EA Sports.
So I like those games, right? And the problem with, like, of course, Madden is like they have the license to the NFL. Other people can make football games, they just can't make NFL licensed team games. Yeah. Which we had one game that was kind of decent back in the day called Arena Football. It was actually made by 2K, I believe. They has a new football game. No, this one EA. Because trust me, the visuals,
Arena Football.
It was some type of game with like the older players. It wasn't EA. Because
okay.
like the visuals look nothing like EA Football. This was definitely like 2K all the way.
I don't know what game this is, but it's not Arena Football because Arena Football is EA.
It was some type of football game. I don't know if it was Arena.
All Pro Football 2K8?
All Pro. I knew it was something 8. You're right. That's
there
All Pro. That's good. That game was pretty solid, but again, like, people don't care about anything if it's not Madden. I mean, I watch Angry Joe, and it's just so hilarious watching him rag on Madden because it's like they haven't done anything different for like 4 games.
But Devin, how else am I gonna see the Jets win the Super Bowl?
In your dreams.
Just take.
There's no other way.
In cryostasis. That's how you gonna see it.
Aaron Rodgers ain't gonna get them no goddamn chip. They got to do something. They got to go ahead and play goddamn Madden and make it happen.
I mean, but I don't know. Man. I just like I said, I just feel like it's people's taste of just going like so I don't want to use the word room, but it's definitely changed the landscape of gaming. Like COD is like shooters in general, like a super big like game that a lot of people play. So COD being like one of the mainstays is like this is the game. And it's crazy because I feel like when Halo came out, online gaming wasn't as big, and I almost feel like Halo would have been that game if online gaming had been super prevalent when it came out. But now Halo is just like it's literally like just a Halo that's going the lightest. Yeah. Grand Theft Auto, I've never really liked Grand Theft Auto that much. It's never been a game that's really appealed to me. I played some of them, but just I don't know, like I see the allure of having this sandbox and you can like do things, do whatever you want, but I don't know, it just never really spoke to me. Now 5, I haven't played 5, but I can say that's probably one that I would get on board with because it has racing elements, a lot of stuff you can do in that game. And Rockstar also made one of the best racing games ever. Which I don't know why they won't go back to Midnight Club. They literally have Midnight Club in Grand Theft Auto 5. Like the racing looks solid enough. Like just basically Midnight Club.
Well, that's the answer right there. That's why they ain't going back.
Man, I need the actual game. Fortnite just one of those things like Battle Royale was a trend. And I think that's probably like the biggest thing I feel like is kind of dampening gaming, just the trend chasing. And of course, trend chasing has been a thing throughout gaming overall. Like we look again, 90s, not just like the licensed game, but how many platformers there were. It was almost nothing but platforms.
Everybody had a mascot.
Man, we got Gex, we got Odd World, we got doggone Clono, we got all these, you know what I'm saying?
Bubsy.
We got Croc. Rayman. We got what's his name?
Pepsi Man.
We got
Pepsi Man.
You know it's crazy when they made video games off of 2 sodas. They didn't even have mascots, really.
Oh, yeah,
cool just kind of made up. Like, who wanted the Spot? What? I mean, the circle on the 7-Up can on the 7-Up bottle. All right. So that was definitely, they were like, hey man, we got to get in on this platform thing, man. We ain't got no mascot, man. You see that red dot on the bottle? Hey, put some shades on them, put some gloves on them, put some shoes on them. We got us a game, man. So trend chasing has been a thing in gaming for quite some time. But the difference is now that there's so much money that can be made from these trends that it's just like, bro, battle royales. Just like when people saw Fortnite had that battle royale, it's like, oh man, we got to get on this, man. And then the whole like the live service thing. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. One game y'all know I talked about this game like a dog, and y'all probably already know what I'm.
Oh no!
Oh man, doggone Outriders.
I
knew it.
Boy, I tell you,
let it ride, man.
We are riders. No, we ain't. No, we not. No.
Get out the car. Whatever you riding, get off it.
That's one of them games right there that just kind of, when I look at games like that, that's when I kind of have a mindset, man, game like, it's like y'all didn't even, are y'all trying? You know, I know Destiny is kind of like the godfather of that style for the shooting games, like the looter shooters. You got the same type of HUD. You got the little cursor that moves to the square. Then you go to the other screen, hit my level is this, and then the same thing. Redfall is another example, a game that just miserably failed not too long ago. Same thing, trying to chase trends, trying to be like a Destiny with vampires. You know, I don't know. I just kind of wish people would like, if you're gonna chase a trend, at least like have another game plan with it. Don't just be like, well, we just gonna the microtransaction, just battle pass and all this. This is what people want. No, not necessarily. Because I play a lot of Fortnite, but I have spent very little money playing Fortnite. I play Fortnite because I freaking love the technical mechanics of the game. That's why I play it. But I know a lot of other people play Naruto skin. Oh, this. That they just gonna spend whatever skin come out, they gonna spend it. Like, and them skins be like $20 a pop. Like, you know how much money they making? Just $20 for just a digital skin that don't do nothing different. A backpack,
They charging all of it $99, and so they making all.
backpack $5, pickaxe $10. So if you buy the whole set for something, you paying like $40 just on some digital stuff. So I
thought the game was free.
The game is.
Oh, you thought it was free? It was free until we started putting all this cool stuff in here that we like, yeah, they gonna buy this.
Devin,
It's free
we
to
have
open up
to
your
have-
pockets and give us money.
Yeah.
But Devin, we have to have money.
I mean, it's definitely
They definitely do.
another game that has unfortunately the developers decided to take this route with is Suicide Squad. It was literally just Fortnite with Suicide Squad skins. Like I was talking to somebody about this at work. I'm like, they have a Suicide Squad game where you got Deadshot. Okay, that's right. Okay, guns. That makes sense. That's literally that's what he do. He shoot.
Got
All
my
right, we
man
got Harley-
Captain Boomerang.
We got
with a
Harley
sniper
Quinn.
rifle.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang. His weapon is literally in his name. Boomerang. Nope, not today.
Not today.
I'm gonna make these bullets come back. That's what they're gonna come back. We got King Shark, this big hulking dude. Oh, he punch stuff and no, I got this SMG for you, homie. And I'm
Give me a
flying in the
minigun.
sky. I don't know where I learned to get these ability to fly from, but I'm in the sky.
King submachine gun.
I got 2 SMGs. I'm on bumpers, cuz
Blinky.
like. So to me, I feel like that's probably one of the things I hate to see the most is just when people could have really successful game, even like Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights, I really was hyped for that game and hoped that it would have been a lot better than what it was. But again, like I saw that first,
Shade.
man, it's look kind of solid. It's look kind of solid. And then it was like I started seeing the load the Destiny. I said, oh man, they're doing the same thing. Get the gear. I'm like, bro, you could have just made this a standalone game. You could have made some multiplayer stuff.
The longer you talk about Gotham Knights, the more part of me dies inside. There's no excuse for that game to be that way.
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
even
Like,
care about the Destiny parts, just the fact that they bungle the story.
well, just in general, that's what I'm saying. But when you focus on all those other things, all the stuff that needs to be taken care of, like the lore and story, it just gets shoved to the side. Like, well, we know y'all gonna buy it because it's got Nightwing in it. Y'all gonna buy this Batgirl, Robin. Y'all know them characters. Red Hood, he got guns.
I do know them characters, but they not acting like the characters that I know.
It don't matter. They look like them. You gonna still play it?
That
Don't
show what they
matter.
told you. That show what they told you.
So that's what I hate. I just hate this. It's like, I don't know, man. And then it's like people when they get some of this stuff, it's like instead of being real with it, like this game it's not that great. Just be real with it. They'll try to put out a review. Oh, this is so and so. No, it's not. That's another thing I kind of wish too. Sometimes with the developers, y'all just be honest with yourself. You know the game ain't that great. Just say that. I know. What's some?
All right. Oh, okay. Hold the fuck up. I gotta stop you right there. Ain't no fucking way I'm gonna spend 6 years working on a video game and then before it come out, I'm like, look, I just want y'all. This shit trash. Don't buy it. No damn way. It's trash. I ain't telling you. Somebody gonna play this motherfucker. Somebody gonna play
Hey,
it.
bro.
I ain't
Hey.
spent 6 years for people to be like, oh well, you know the developer said it was trash. So like,
Hey.
yeah, the devil is a lie because I ain't
Somebody
do
gonna
it.
play it. Not I.
I tell you what. You can do that, but they gonna be like next time you make it, like we ain't gonna need to buy it. They gonna be like, well, they ain't gonna buy it.
Hey,
Don't be like, oh man, we gave this game. It was like an 80. It was solid. Then the game come out, bro. This ain't no 80. It's not, actually not even just developers. Sometimes the viewers do that too. Or viewers be like, man, this was trash. And if this is a game that you feel like was good, maybe you ain't as good of a journalist or a reviewer than you think you are.
all right.
That's why I be seeing a lot of that too.
I'm gonna again stop you there. Like everybody don't play games the same.
That's
Like
true.
everybody, like some people, like I mean, like Avengers for what it was. Like I understand why it got the reviews that it did, but like at the same time, I thought that it at the core of that game was like a really solid combat system, and like I enjoyed playing as those characters, and even like the writing in the single player mode was really solid. Like
Story
those were
was
the
good.
things they got. The story was solid. It was the fact that they just didn't have any like post launch support, and it was just like buggy as shit. So like I understood why they gave it the scores, but I probably would have gave it like a 7, while everybody else is giving it like a 6 or a 5.
Well,
Fact.
all I'm gonna say is I told Rakeem about that one when he asked me. I said, well, I'm gonna tell you what I think. But yeah, I just think that just that whole trend chasing and just not taking care of everything. If you're gonna chase a trend, at least do your due diligence and try to make the whole experience solid. Don't just be like, well, we want to make a Fortnite clone and that's it.
Hey man, I rock with that answer actually. Real quick, I want to ask, what game would you recommend, or what game or what genre would you recommend for somebody to get into if they were a casual gamer and you like, hey man, you got to break out of it? So, 2 minutes. Terrence, what's up?
So what genre would I recommend to casual?
Game or genre, pick one.
For me, when it comes down to that, I would say that I would try to tailor it more towards their taste. Like, what is it that, like, are you someone who maybe is into sci-fi, but you've never tried a sci-fi game? Are you someone that likes fantasy stuff like Lord of the Rings or something along those lines? Maybe I can interest you in something like Elden Ring potentially. Like, it kind of just depends. Like, for me, when it comes to recommendations, I try to gauge what the person is into and then try and go into that direction, because I don't want to just toss a random recommendation to anyone. But at the same time, I guess if there's a genre that I would have to pick that I think could work for most people, no, maybe not necessarily RPG, because I mean that can vary.
I mean, it depends on RPG, because like some of them are
like
some are really in depth, and then
Yeah.
some it's just like, hey man, you know, it's got stats, but I mean, it's just got stats to have stats.
I guess if the person is at least like good enough at playing games, maybe something more action oriented. I could, like, Devil May Cry, I feel like is a solid recommendation for people who are into action. Like, if you're not the type person where it's like, you know, you're bumbling with a controller, then no, it's not for you. But if you're pretty good, if you're pretty coordinated, then something like Devil May Cry, I guess I could recommend to you. So I think that's about a solid enough choice, I guess I can give.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Rakeem, what game like would you use to try to pull people in, or like what genre would you use to try to pull people in?
So with me, when I have these discussions with like some other friends who game, what I'll do is I'll actually introduce them to various trailers of different kinds of games, and it could be different genres, like an MMO or a shooter or an action game, and I'll kind of gauge what they're interested in. Like, ooh, I like that. Hey, what's this? Hey, what's this about? And they're like, oh, this is about this. Check this out. This is their release time. And if it's like a multiplayer game, I'm like, hey, if you're serious about this, I'm willing to, like, hey, buy a copy. Sometime we'll buy each other copies. And let's try this game out, see if we like it. I've done that with numerous games. I remember when I was with a group of friends, I played like some zombie hunting games. We got into like Payday and all types of Paladins, all types of multiplayer games. And a lot of those games we really enjoyed. Some of them we didn't. And we just stopped playing them because they sucked. So like when it comes to a friend,
Hood Outlaws and Legends.
Hood Outlaws and Legends. That was just for me, and I played that one day and never touched it again. So that should let you know sometimes it's a hit and sometimes it's a miss. So for me, like with a friend, it's sometimes easier. I try to go with a multiplayer game to kind of get something that we both can enjoy together. Like for instance, once again, friend of the show, Tim Bush, he always recommends beat 'em ups because he likes beat 'em ups, and we'll literally play beat 'em ups together. Like we recently got the TMNT game Shredder's Revenge and played a little bit of that together. Or we'll play something like Cuphead. We play that together. That was very difficult. We never played it again. That game is hard.
That game is fun, bro. I beat it twice, man.
It's real fun, but it's hard. But yeah, that's kind of my way of doing it. Like multiplayer games for the most part to get them in. And then if it's something I think might be a single player game, I'll recommend it based on stuff they like. Like if they're a big Mass Effect fan, and I see this new sci-fi shooter kind of game, I'm like, okay, this is kind of in that kind of arena. I'll show you a trailer of it. See if it appeals to you, and then like that might get you into it. So that's how I approach it.
That's a real nice guy right there. Like he buying games, he's showing people games, trailers, and shit like that. That's a really good dude.
Yeah,
I ain't none of that. But I'm gonna let y'all know that in just a minute. But first, I want to ask Will. Will, how do you pull gamers into like casual gamers into like more diverse games and genres?
Well, I won't even hold you because I do have trouble with that kind of continuously to this point. And it's very different from doing the anime thing where I'd be like, hey, tell me what it is you like in TV shows in general so that I can kind of get an idea of how to throw a show at you. When it comes to games, that's the hard part because there are people who misconstrue graphics and art style. So immediately some things kind of get thrown way out of the loop. So I'm like, oh, this something could be right up your alley. Then they be like, it looked like an XXX game. Y'all know where I'm going with this. So
it's not like a porn game. It's the XXX.
What XYZ then? You know, it looked like XYZ. It looked like XYZ sort of system game.
Right.
Play that. So they say stuff like that, and it's kind of hard to throw people stuff. If it's multiplayer, it'll have to be something that's more than likely free to play that I can like get them into where they don't have to drop a dime on it. They're just like, hey, just go download it. Let's have a little time with it. Or if it's something that I'm playing, like i.e. this here, I got a few of my friends to manage to get this in, but one of my friends, one of my friends, I hear you. And one of my friends, he just started working, so it's been hard for him to get on. But his fiance, she can play it, but she kind of making her business not to play this because apparently it overstimulates her with all the chaos that comes on screen because this is a 4-player game. So it's hard for her to play it. So this game has almost been beaten, but we can't seem to get a day together for this. That's another story for another time. But it's kind of hard to recommend games, at least on my end, because I have a certain set of things that I like, but I'm also willing to like do the same thing Keem did, like show trailers and show you what it is you can kind of like get your hands on if you want to try something new. So it's really more just show them trailers, ask what it is they kind of want to dive themselves into. I won't throw you into a JRPG as JRPGs can either be 20 to 30 hours and you'll be out within like at least by the middle of the month if you play it consistently, or you might be in the middle of the year with one. So I don't know. But platformers, free-to-play games, and sometimes the occasional let's get in there and just beat shit up on screen for a time being, it works out.
All right. Okay. Devin, 2 minutes, man. What do you think? Like what games would you how would you pull casual gamers into more diverse games and genres?
Well, I'm just gonna assume this is like from the standpoint that the person they just played a quad stack. So I actually had experience with this. I mean, you really can't just tell him a game to try it because that's not gonna work. I tried to get a guy to play Final Fantasy. He's like, this game sucks, worst thing ever in the world. This is trash. This is for nerds. I'm like, all right. He's like, NBA Live.
I want you to know that now.
I think like you always mentioned like the trying something. I would play something like, hey, I'm gonna show you this game. I'm gonna play this game. And watch me play it. I'll let you play it for a little bit, see if you like it. I don't know. Like, I think action games is probably like if they play games or they action games, adventure game, probably the best thing I could like maybe give them as a recommendation.
Yeah, that's along the lines of what I was thinking, like action adventure. Yeah. Like as soon as I said Devil May Cry, I was like, I feel like there's some better option, but something along those lines, like action adventure.
God of War.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
yeah. Uncharted, something like that. Something that's kind of like single player games that like have like a story to them. I think that's probably the best thing that I could suggest to somebody. If they play them games, hey, go play this game. Single player, got a story, beat it. You like it, good. You don't, well, go back to playing COD.
Hey, look, I appreciate that last little because it kind of ended on a down note, which is good because that's where I was going. I don't think it's possible. Damn. I'm to the point now where I'm like, I don't think a lot of like most casual gamers want anything like that. Like if they like, I've heard too many stories from too many people, and then, like once you really start to get into the mindset of some of these people, especially like the super duper COD fans, like because like here's the thing. A lot of the people we've been bringing up, like some of the people that watch the podcast, Rob, Tim, they was never casual gamers in the first place. They play hella games. They play all types of variety. They was playing variety before we met each other, and they play more variety now. Like, so that's a different breed of like, they just happen to like that's a difference between I play some of these casual gamers, but casual games, but I am not a casual gamer. Like, that's not the same thing as like, oh, all I play is this. And like, when you look at it, like the people that like when I told the anecdote about like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and then like the obsession with going back to boots on the ground, like that's what they want. They don't want nothing else. They want hardcore, realistic, maybe slightly futuristic, just so they get some kind of like cool trick with the gun. But that's it. They want hardcore, realistic, militaristic, first person shooter. Hoorah! That's all they want. They don't want
Yeah.
nothing else. And like you trying to sell them on something like that's why I was looking at some of them games Sony was coming up with, and I'm like, good luck. If you trying to make those as like multiplayer games, you might make it work. Like if you have no big expectation. But if they looking at those to be COD killers, you done already fucked up. It's not gonna be no COD killer. Like they're gonna take one, like the average Call of Duty fan, like the ones that spend 70% of that 6 million that spend 70% of their time playing COD, they're gonna take one look at something like Fair Games, be like, that shit corny. And then they never gonna look at it again. And like that's a lot of them. And then like the people that play hardcore sports games and all they play is sports games, that's all they really want. They don't want another game. They want better versions of the games they got. And I mean, like
and they ain't never gonna fucking get them.
I was gonna go there. Like, to be fair to them, they deserve a better sports game, but they're not gonna get it because as long as you keep buying the same game every year, why would they improve? What reason would they have to improve? They're not gonna improve jack shit because they making the same guap up off you regardless. They're gonna be like, oh well, you said you was, but you back. So like if you gonna keep taking this same weak hit that we putting out on these streets, we gonna keep selling you the same weak hit. Like that's what you got. So I don't, as far as like, because it's like, I mean, like when you look like this whole thing started because of this Twitter post that I saw that Will put in the chat a couple weeks ago about like anytime somebody plays a game and they got a ball or a gun in it, and it's just like a photo of Squidward going to sleep, and it was like hella stories, like quote retweets of people saying like, yeah, I tried to show him this. I tried to show him Street Fighter. Someone looked at me like I was crazy because I showed him Spider-Man. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, these are actual hard, like good games. And they not like, it would be one thing if I showed you something that was like super anime, super niche or something like that. If I showed you an isometric game and you bounced off it, I'd be like, I kind of get it. Like there's an adjustment period for some of those games. But when I start showing you stuff like Spider-Man and you look at me like I'm crazy, ain't nothing I can do for you. What's up, Krakeem?
I'm about to say the only caveat to that, that help in that situation is really nothing you can do with people who have been ingratiated in gaming for a long time. You got to get them young, because that's when they got me. When I was 7 or 8 years old, I got introduced to Final Fantasy and fighting games, and that kind of started the basis for my gaming and how I grew up. Now, and the same for my little brother. Yep.
I'll say two things before we wrap it up. One, you do have to get them young, and getting them young will work. But the one thing about us is that we all in our 30s, right? And so like, here's the trick to that. There was no quad stack when we was young. Like when we was kids, Madden was around, but it didn't have the dominance that it has now. 2K was not around. I don't think NBA Live was around. Like, so yeah, it was just live, but like it wasn't as dominant as it, like those games weren't as dominant. There was no COD. There was no GTA. I mean, like GTA came along like when we was in a middle school or something like that.
And GTA at that point was a top-down game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean GTA 3, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, if we're going into like the 3D ones, then yeah.
They still had a quad stack then. That was still
You say
a quad
what?
stack.
They had a different type of quad stack back then.
Mario and Sonic.
No,
Yeah,
it was
you played
Madden, Live, SOCOM, and Grand Theft Auto.
Well, that's PS2. I'm talking about PS1.
Yeah, PS2 area.
Oh, PS1. Okay.
You go back to
Yeah,
SNES and PS1, like there was no quad stack. Like you picked up Mario and Sonic and you picked up Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and that kind of stuff. So like that was what was available to you. And then as you grew up, you was like, yeah, I still play those. I'm not gonna play nothing else. So like, I mean, I will play other things. You're more open to trying other things because you were shown so many other things when you were growing up, as opposed to now where like the gaming industry is kind of solidified into what it's trying to be for the next 10, 15, 20 years, unfortunately, with like some changes along the way. But like COD is an institution. That shit not going nowhere. So I mean, I wish that, I'm not gonna say I wish it would fail, but I wish there would be something to challenge it just to like shake shit up. But I don't see it. Halo was before COD and it fell off. So like,
Battlefield fell off too.
You said what fell off?
You said Battlefield fell off too.
Oh, didn't it? Didn't it? My God, that 2042. I don't know what they was thinking. It used to be a hit. That's the challenge in like trying to topple something. But I think that's gonna wrap this episode up. We had like a great conversation. If you liked it, I need a few things from you. I need you to do us a favor and hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok. Don't just check us out. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. You don't know, you might make a new friend. And do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.